Welcome to the Rumble and Roar podcast. I'm your host, Lenoria, and guys, it is Veterans Day. Well, actually, it's tomorrow. We're airing today. However, I have a veteran here, Sergeant Smith, and I'm so glad that he is joining me today. He's going to sit and tell us a couple of things about the service that he was in and things that I asked him, and he's going to answer them for me and for you guys as well. And before I get started, of course, I want to say thank you for your service. I'm so honored that you're here with me today.
Well, first of all, thank you, and hello to everyone. First of all, it's my honor and pleasure to be here, especially talking about Veterans Day.
Yes.
It's one of the most meaningful holidays that my wife and I would celebrate because of my, being a veteran of foreign war. During Desert Storm during the 90s, I had a pivotal role of serving my country.
And that was going to be one of the questions that I was going to ask you, and you are, okay, go ahead.
Okay, but when it comes to being an honored veteran and honoring those who serve, we also have to be blessing that, the reservists and veterans have been around for more than 240 years of this country's history. But to be honored, to recognize their service is the highest way of honoring this country, is going out and serving in the military, whether you're serving in peacetime or during war.
Right. Okay. I looked it up because I wasn't sure. I am a military wife. I have a veteran as a husband. And guys, I forgot to tell you, we have actually two more guests. We have Miss Smith, which is Sergeant Smith's wife here. And we also have Sergeant Buttra here with us, and we were just gonna all sit here and reminisce about military life and tell you how we feel about certain things, and like I said before. But I thought it was Sergeant Smith, I thought it was only, let me see, Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, and special force. I thought it was only 5. But I looked it up. It says, what are the 12 branches of military? And there are 12. So I'm going to name them. It's Army, Army Reserve, and Army National Guard, Marine Corps Reserve, Navy, Navy Reserve, Air Force Reserve, Air National Guard. These, okay, I did not know. Space Force.
Yes.
Now that one is kind of new, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, because I just had not heard a lot about that, and I spent a lot of time military. I'm a military brat. My father was in, both of my brothers, a lot of people, nieces, nephews, cousins, everyone. But Space Force is something fairly new, guys. And Coast Guard and Coast Guard Reserve.
Yes. There
are 12. I was like, okay. Now just in case you didn't know. I have, let's see, the 4 C's. I knew nothing about this. Of course, I was never active duty. I was a military wife. But 4 C's, let me tell you about the 4 C's. It says, what are the 4 C's in military? Leadership is the backbone of any successful military operation. That is the truth. That is the truth. You got to have that backbone and be strong for your men and leader for your men. It's a role that demands both authority and quality, that inspires and guides troops towards a common objective. And an objective, I'll chop up some words. So you know what I'm trying to say. Okay. So if you ever see my show, I will chop some words up. One well-regarded military leadership framework is the 4 C's. The first C is competence. The second C is character. The third C is commitment, and the 4th C is courage. Now, Sergeant Smith, I know you can tell me about all 4 of these C's.
Yeah.
Yes, in the Army, competence. I know a couple of, and this is not to play anyone or be mean or say hurtful stuff. But some guys that go in there, before they go, I know that they're going in there, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if your elevator goes all the way to the top. Are you going to be competent enough to go through this and you know, be something? You know what I've learned is every man that or woman, when the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine get a hold of them, they make the other 4 C's: character, commitment, and courage come to life in that person that you thought did not have the competency to go in there, right?
Yes.
Or maybe I didn't say it the right way. Tell me how to say it.
Well, you said it
Okay.
appropriately.
Okay.
What the military does is that they strip a young person down. They make everybody equal, understanding that you have to be able to operate in a team environment. So the first thing you have to do, you have to develop not only courage, but you have to develop humility. And so you have to have humility to accept learning, to accept instructions, to accept others. But those characteristics also translate to real life.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what it's all about.
On Labor Day, Sergeant Andrews was someone that I spoke with, and he said those not verbatim, but same difference. He said that when he went in there, he was a mess. He was like, I don't want to listen to these people. I'm not going to follow instructions. He was still being the way that he was out here. And when I say out here in civilian life, guys, but he was just doing his own thing, always stayed in trouble. He said then somebody pulled him aside. I think it was a sergeant, and said, look, you're going to have to, listen. You're going to have to, drop what you were out there and pick it up. Pick it up what we're doing here. And long of the short, I hope I'm saying this right. Long of the short, they just made a really good soldier out of him.
Well, whatever military branch you're in, they're going to develop that as you go along. Everybody come from different walks of life. So you're going to have some individuals that come in and have a checker pass. Some going to have some other things that are going to happen. But the military, under adversity, they build strength. So they're going to stress you out in a lot of different ways to build those characteristics that's going to take to be a leader. So we get it, and especially when I was and I saw that, but then again, everybody doesn't conform. There's going to be issues where people have been, that have left the service, whether it's going to be
put out.
Well, they're going to be either court-martialed in or they have been forced out. However the situation takes place, everybody doesn't conform.
These are the ones that just can't get it for whatever reason, right?
Well, you have situations that take place, whether you have to be disciplined, you have someone telling you when to go to bed, when to get up, when to eat, and whatever duties you have to do during that day. But it's all about developing the characters that's needed.
I know a lot of guys.
So there's a lot that goes place, and a lot of people don't conform.
I know a lot of young guys right now today that don't want to go into the military for those reasons right there. They don't want to listen. They don't want to take constructive, any kind of criticism. They don't want to take, they don't want to listen. So they're like, no, I can't go in the military. I can't go there. And it's just...
Well, it's a little bit too of what's going on in the world.
Yes.
You have to look at it when there's war, a possibility of war, then, that's a test of character also, a test of strength. You have to have a test of fortitude to understand that you have to go in and serve during that time period. That's a lot of things too. A lot of guys don't want to go in with the possibility of losing your life.
Right,
so
right.
That's a little bit different than being undisciplined.
Well, it is a good reason. Now I think that is one. That is a factor, but the ones that I talk to. But
most men, they're not going to face that fact of, I don't want to go in during a time of war. They'll come up with other excuses. So, you have to look at it. Like back when I was in the service, 30 years ago, that it was one where, a lot of people had to go into service in lieu of jail. Either jail or service.
So that's draft. They're drafting you, right?
No, that's a court order where you have to either go to jail for a crime you committed or the judge would say you can go and serve your country. So you have to look at, well, I'm gonna give up my freedom, or I'm gonna go serve my country.
That wasn't for everyone. That was just for someone that was committed a crime, right?
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Oh my. Okay. Drafting was a whole nother thing back in the day. Okay. So do you have any family members in the military?
Probably so, not now.
No, I mean,
But back when, I think it's been a few that was in on my father's side and maybe on my mother's side, but not offhand. You know, I like to say I'm the only veteran of foreign war in my immediate family. My wife need to salute me come Monday morning.
salute him today, Miss Smith. Okay. And every day. Okay.
No, she ain't gonna do it every day,
Why not? It's
but
okay.
once a month to do that.
Okay, where did you enlist or get drafted? You didn't get drafted, right?
No, I listed here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, okay. And you know what I did not ask you, Sergeant Smith? Which branch were you in?
The Army.
Army, okay. Okay. What was your first day like?
Well,
Wait a minute. Did you see Sergeant Buttram? He went, we're gonna have to ask him as well.
yeah, for me, the first day, well, coming in from playing football and being in college, it was okay. I got my hair cut my first day at South Carolina State. But going into the Army, getting off a cattle truck, riding with 50 other guys, going into the barber, standing up in the cattle line, getting your head, that didn't
Did you say
bother me.
cattle truck?
Yeah, it was a cattle truck. And that's something that we military guys, we understand. It's a tractor trailer. You have handles standing up and you in there like a cattle piece, like cattle.
Oh,
So
okay.
they took you from the airport to your physicals and you got none of those things bothered me. Getting up early, running, PTing, no.
Because that was a given to you. You had already been doing all that stuff.
Well, yes, but our generation was different. You know, we was in the grinding generation where you work every day and grinding and doing what you're supposed to do and being disciplined without doing what you're supposed to do without people watching you is also another element that I already had. So, you know, I like that structure every day.
Were you scared? Was that first day scary? Was it something? What was going through your head? And I know it's been a pretty many moons ago. However, when something is things that you don't forget, something that makes you feel really good, something that makes you feel really bad. Were you proud? Were you afraid? What did you feel when you got off of that plane or wherever you were and got with the other guys? What was going through your head? And I know you were young then, and you were probably
Well, no, you know, coming in mid-20s, 24 years old at that time, you know, after college, there was nothing physically anybody could do to me. So I understood, you know, I had football coaches that would stand over me in the heat of the day.
okay.
You know, the only difficult part was doing push-ups on the hot pavement where I got these permanent discoloration on the palm of my hand. But other than that, nothing. Now, going to war was different because that's a truly unknown physical exertion and
scary.
and those type of things, the basic training and AIT. No, those things weren't the unknown. The unknown was going to war.
Okay. Mr. Buttram, what was your first day like?
Hell,
It was hell? Okay, what do you mean by that?
I left home on a bus and went to the airport. Mine went from the airport and flew into Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. They call it Fort Lost in the Woods.
Oh my gosh.
Once we got there, you got your plane, you get on a nice bus, and they take you to Fort Leonard Wood. Once you get to Fort Leonard Wood, they put you on a cattle car, just like he said. Cattle car to take you to your basic training, and we got there kind of mid-evening, and it was getting kind of dark, and drill sergeant was coming out yelling at you to take your bags upstairs, and they yelling at you to make sure you lock your lockers up and everything and get back down here.
Something you weren't used to.
We weren't used to it, and seen a lot of people that weren't used to getting yelled at, but I just happened to be used to being yelled at, so that didn't bother me. But a lot of people weren't, so they went up there and didn't close their lockers, and next thing we seen when we got back down, stuff,
Push-ups.
no, stuff flying out the window.
Oh my.
They didn't lock their lockers, so they threw everything out the locker out there on the ground, pavement.
See, that turned you into a different person, I bet. Turn you guys into a different person. Okay, so how long does it take? How long does a first term last?
Well, service can be a number of years. Like if some service contracts can be for 2 years, 4 years, or 6 years, or even longer. I think when I was coming in, it may have been you could serve up to 8 years.
So the shortest is 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the shortest was 3 years. I wasn't sure, and I'm so glad I asked that.
Yeah, it can be up to 2 years.
And what is the if you did not have any education, anything, what do you come in as? A PFC, a
you come
specialist
in-
for?
We come in as a private. It's been so I guess a E1. So,
Okay, E1.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, can you choose, your entry, when you're coming in, can you choose the job that you want?
Yeah, I did.
Were you able to, Sergeant Buttram?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, what was that job?
Mine was a combat air traffic controller, where we would jump in and jump in our equipment. We would set up an Army airfield within 4 hours. We had to be operational, whether we had to be instrument flight rules or being visual. So those a lot of things that we was equipped to do and we trained to do every day.
Do you think that what you learned in that job benefits you today? Or have you used it for any job for today? Or it's just knowledge that you have that's on the back burner and that you can use it whenever at least you got the knowledge?
Well, the war part of it, yes. But the normal just things of playing football and being at state, a lot of things I already had. So, but they enhanced that. But what it did give me was the opportunity of seeing another part of the world, seeing other people.
That was
And what I mean is not in the world, but you got to see some people that never seen black people before, some black people that never seen white people before, and never even interacted with someone outside of their race. So it's those things that was eye awakening for me, and then too the different religions that was going on too. Not only too you had Christians and Jews and other religions that that was brought to my attention at that time. Is those things where us as a race that
you would have never known if you weren't military, right?
Well, I think I would have known it afterwards, but what it got me to understand was that it was more than the black and white.
Right.
So, and that and how understanding we are as a people.
When you said that, Sergeant Smith, when you said it, you said something about the travel part. I had to look up at Miss Smith because the travel part was I love traveling, and we traveled a lot, and that was one of the plus for military for me, is being able to be with my husband as he deployed to go to different places. Certain places you couldn't go, but there are some places you take your family and just learn different things. Like, we were over in Germany for quite some time. Where did you go, Miss Smith?
Well, I was in Europe and Asia, but I think that was very important, especially when I was younger, with my family and my father going to Germany. Like my husband said, that was a whole different part of the world that I never knew anything about. The culture, the currency, the food.
Right.
That kind of changed and shaped who I am today, for sure.
Exactly. I love Germany. I was in Europe as well, and I loved it. I was just, changing your American dollars over to Dutch marks. I loved it. When we were over there, it was, I can't remember the year, but I do remember the Dutch mark was $3.65 to $1 American dollar. I used to go and switch my money over, and when I say wie viel kostet das? How much does this cost? Because I was out there. I was freaking see Deutsche Kleinbit because I was out there trying to get what I could. Yeah, shopping a lot. So, Mr. Buttram, what was your title in the military?
Sergeant.
Not title. Let me see. I want to ask the same question. What job did you have?
12 Charlie, bridging engineer
An engineer.
and
bridging-
demolitions.
Demolitions. You blow up stuff, Mr. Butch?
Blew up houses, bridges, cars.
Oh my
Matter of
God.
fact, in Fort Riley, Kansas, they put a limit on people using demolitions because we blew a hole so big out there, it kind of rocked the general's house and broke
Oh,
some
wow.
windows. So they had to put a limit out there.
Did you enjoy that?
I love blowing up stuff.
Well, I don't need to ask you the same question I asked Sergeant Smith because I know you're not using that now that you're out of the military because you don't need to be blowing up anybody.
No, I wanted to pursue that, but they said I would have to go back to college to learn stuff that I already knew, and I said no.
Well, no, you don't know everything. That's why when they tell you to go back to college, maybe it was something that was
I
missing.
already knew how to knock down buildings,
Yeah.
where to place the charges and stuff to knock buildings down. Yeah, I did know all that, but they wanted me to go back to school and start it all over again.
Okay, do you guys, you probably won't remember this and it's okay, but you guys, do y'all remember, let me see this question, how much does a new recruit get paid and what are the benefits? I know that was, oh my gosh, you guys have, you became a sergeant and you climbed up, so starting out, I don't know, and I didn't look this up, but how much do they start you out with when you first get in? Is it worth it, do you think?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're talking about over $800 a month, and they give you a place to stay. Only thing you really didn't even need a car. Because from the barracks you had the PT field, from the PT field and the barracks
He's so
to
positive.
you can get to your work assignments.
Okay.
But I have to look at it from my standpoint of being in the military. I was promoted 4 times.
That was going to be my next
Yeah.
question. How are service members promoted?
Yeah.
How are you promoted? How
Well,
were you
we
promoted?
took oral tests, and so
Okay.
coming in from college, I was already E3. So shortly after I got to brag, I was the E4, and then before Desert Storm, I was the E5, and then as I was in Desert Storm, I came back as the E6, and then from that point, then it was determined that I took a physical to fly because I wanted to, once being in Desert Storm, I wanted to fly the Apache or a Cobra, but my eyesight wouldn't allow that to happen. So from that point, then it was time to go and to do other things. But there's great opportunities there, and my wife will tell you I'm always going to see the best of every situation. So, and that's what I do, and the military sort of shine that too. I think it's a great place to get in there. You're not going to get paid a lot, so you got to manage with what you get.
What was your rank when you left? You said sergeant, right?
Yeah, E6
How many
Staff
years
Sergeant.
did you, E6 staff sergeant? How many years did you do?
4. Well, I cashed out a little earlier than that, so because I was transitioning from Fort Bragg to Atlanta to start the police. I had to put it off twice because I couldn't get my ETS dates correct. So from that point, we put it off. So I had maybe like a month vacation before I started.
Okay, Sergeant Buttram, what was your rank?
When I got out,
Yes.
sergeant promotable,
Okay. And how many years did you do?
13.
Okay. Why did you guys get out? What made you just say, okay, I don't want to do this anymore? And why didn't you retire for the long haul? What?
Well, I took it what the money you making inside and the money I could be making outside.
Gotcha.
So, and I looked at it too. You had every police department that was recruiting Fort Bragg soldiers, but the biggest thing that really got me out was when I was in Desert Storm. I was in the Kuwaiti airport. We set up an airfield, and from the airfield, I was sitting with a Kuwaiti soldier, and he pulled up the Rodney King article.
Oh.
And he said, what would you, he said, why are you over here fighting for us? And at that point, not that I thought about it at that time. I like, it's first of all, I'm a soldier, and soldiers follow orders. And from that point, I was directed to come here, and so it's my duty. So, and then I thought about it, those 6 months of sitting over in Riyadh and Kuwaiti and Log Base Charlie, to think about how I was going to transition out because of this service and being a member of veterans. We fight for everybody else to come in and get their to have their American dream. So my American dream was to have more. So that's what I do, right? So and to have more, I had to get out and do that, pursue that other ways.
Wow. And I'm sure that you are a police officer now, right?
Yes.
And all of that just prepared you. I bet you it's just a walk in the park being a police officer because of the military, right?
Some parts of it is, one thing about the policing, every day could be a war. Every day you have adversity.
That's right.
That can take place every day. But some of the things that I saw during my Desert Storm time, it does prepare you for adversity. Let you know nothing's detrimental. We can always find a solution to solve problems, and understanding too, I'm a collective and inclusive leader where I'm going to have everyone that's in my circle going to be able to offer advice, provide their input so I can get to have the best information on solving whatever problem that we face.
So, and I know this is off. I'm getting off, but I'll bring it back, guys. So, what I just heard, I think that police officers is pretty much more war combat every day than actual military guys. Because every time they go out for a call, if it's a domestic dispute or something, a gunshot or whatever, it's more of that than it is when you go to war in the Army, correct or no?
Well, it depends on where you are, where you're stationed at, what's your duty station, where you are in the world. Right
It's
now.
not that many wars going on like they do, like a phone call. 911 is being called every daggone day, every second.
Yeah, but if you're in the Middle East, these guys are in some of these duty stations are being bombed.
Yeah.
They're just not reported on.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
Okay.
Those adversities that prepares you for what I'm doing now. But these young kids coming in very young, very inexperienced, so they have to deal with things. A situation can be calm 1 minute, but within a few seconds, then it could totally change on a dime where they're going to become something that's can be a deadly situation, or even showing up at a mall on an active shooter. So you have a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different situations that can take place daily,
Right.
or within a matter of minutes. You can have 3 to 4 crime scenes at different parts of the city that can affect on what an officer sees and how they have to react.
Wow. Okay, what is your fondest memories of the military? What did you it's like, you know what, I miss this. I could do this again. I wish I still had it. I wish I was still there.
Well, the biggest part is serving with the guys that I serve with. It's all about nothing, not a situation directly, but it's those men that you was in there every day with, that you cherish those memories, that you're getting up, running 5 or 6 miles every morning, Monday through Friday down Ardennes Avenue or Bragg Boulevard. When my wife and I we used to run, she used to sing cadence all the time.
I did too.
That's what she does.
I don't like it.
But is that
Left,
yeah, she knows.
left, right, left.
So it's that part of it, and the same thing with the police department is developing these guys as I've gone throughout the years.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? I hear that from a lot of people that it's the guys that was there with them. Yeah. You get a serious bond with them, and it's like family. It's your family there.
Yeah.
When you're there. Okay. So how did your family back home change? How did they change when you entered the service, when they knew that you were gone and you came back? What kind of change did you see in them?
Well, for my family, let's deal with my mother and father. At that time, they both were living. My brother passed prior to me going into the service, and my father got a letter, and my mother saying that, hey, you got a choice on whether you can bring him home or he can serve. And I think I got one phone call in which I got the letter also. I called my dad. He was like, yeah, we got our flag up. We represent our country, and your ass is staying. I'm like, I ain't even called to come back. I'm already in country. That's what we do. We serve that shit.
Right.
So, and
So
but
tell them the reason why they got the letter is because you're the only son left.
yeah,
And they
said
sent
my
it.
brother
And they sent it
passed,
to
yeah.
you. They sent it to you.
Well, they let me know that they was contacting my parents.
His
Oh.
brother passed away, so when you're in the
Yeah.
military, I guess, in war,
Yeah.
they don't want, if you don't, right? Am I saying it right?
You were in war at that time?
No, he passed a few years prior to me coming in.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so at that point, it was realized that I was the only child at that time. So my dad was like, no, we got this flag up, you
Parents was
represent.
like, we already put the flag up, you staying.
And I'm like, man, I ain't even asked to come home. I'm cool, let's make this happen.
But I like that the military recognized that. Like, you have one son, you lost a son, and we don't want to have him in the military if something happens on our watch. So you have an option to get out.
What did your brother serve in the military as well? No. No.
No,
Okay. Okay.
no,
Okay. Were you awarded any medals?
yes.
What medals?
Well, first of all, you had so many distinguished service medals that we earned, but the biggest one is going to be the Kuwaiti Liberation Medal that was given to us by King Fahd.
Say that again. I'm so sorry, guys. Kuwait.
The Kuwaiti Liberation Medal.
That's the highest?
Well, that's the highest you can get from being there, yes.
Oh, I thought it was Purple Heart.
But Purple Heart, that's going to be dealing with saving someone's life.
Okay.
But this is going to
My
be
brother
for the soldiers that were there.
Okay.
So, but the other things, it's been so long ago, it's hard for me to remember that for everything that I received. But the one thing I do appreciate from the VA is that they recognize that every time I call, they definitely tell me
They see it on your records.
Right.
So, what did you get that medal for? Because you said the
Well,
Purple Heart is for combat.
In
or
combat,
saving
yeah.
somebody's life.
Yeah.
The one that you got was for what?
That's from being in the war over in Desert Storm.
Oh,
Yeah, that
okay.
was given to us by King Fahd. So that was it was a charitable piece of equipment. A lot of things I don't talk about. So
Right.
that's one that's cherished, and that opportunity, not from some of the other missions that I was on when I was in during Desert Storm before and afterwards. So that was special.
That's one thing about military men. They don't, that I see. They don't really like to talk about a lot of things, and they keep a lot of things inside. But what he just said is something that you should talk about, because it's something that you earned and something that is good. But they just don't. They don't do that. They don't even feel right saying stuff like that. But I think it's a big deal. I'm glad, So, Sergeant Buttram, did you receive any medals while you were in?
Just common medals, expert shooting weapons, Army Achievement medals. I had that had got put in for a Purple Heart for saving people out of water and stuff, but it got downgraded. So just a few awards, that's all.
Okay, so guys, if you were injured, what were the circumstances? If you did you get injured in the military at all?
No, scrapes from being every day, being in. We did a lot of running at Bragg, a lot of things that was physical.
Right.
In there. So in order to, aspects of that, and looking back, that's probably some of the issues that I have now, dealing with them knee, hearing loss, and
Okay.
well, probably hair loss too.
Hair loss.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody made you lose no hair.
Well, we took a lot of different pills over there. Right?
Oh, it did.
yeah,
I was
so on,
joking.
so-
I thought it was a joke.
No. So there's a lot of different pills that we took over there. So we don't know really. It's gonna be some of the side effects of that, even with the burn pit, or some of the things that's being suffering.
You know what? I just thought about something. My father had Agent Orange.
Yep.
Yes, and that made his skin so bad. It was like he actually, when he went out, the little kids would always point at him, and it looked like he had just been burned, really, really bad. So you were right. I thought that you were just saying it for a joke, but it wasn't. Were you ever a prisoner of war?
No.
No, that's good. This question: what are the best and the worst days of your military? Well, I think you just told us what you was fond in the best days. What were the worst time? What was hard for you?
Well, the loss of life when you lose another soldiers was definitely difficult. But back during Desert Storm, we didn't have the media outlets that they have now, and the information wasn't passed along in real time. So, but recognizing some of the incidents that taken place, just how technology has advanced. Now, that's some of the good things you're seeing with these soldiers that's over there now. What's going on over in Israel with their Iron Dome. So technology is a different war.
Yeah.
But that was some of the elements that we had to
And
face.
that's very understandable. The worst thing is losing another soldier, somebody that was really close to you. What about you, Mr. Buttram? What was the worst thing in the Army for you?
I didn't really have anything that was worse besides losing a person.
Okay, yeah,
I lost one of my sergeants in the river. He drowned. I couldn't save him. I saved some of the troops, couldn't save him.
Oh,
So that's one of the best things in the military is your day off and your weekends.
okay. This is another question. What does the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month signifies? I knew nothing about this. I was just doing a little research, and it says the 11th hour of the 11th day, 11th month, marks the moment when fighting in the World War I officially ceased, November 11th, 1918. I would have never known that, but that's good.
Well, yeah, that still have to do with war and what we face and what guys, they needed that break probably from that point on out. Yeah,
It was
that's
a
a great
long
fact,
war,
yeah.
yes. Okay, and the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day, Veterans Day honor all veterans who have served in the military, both living and deceased. Memorial Day specifically honors those who died while serving in the military. Because when I did Memorial Day, we were talking about the difference, and it would be right to tell it today. Okay, now when I read this, Sergeant Smith, I was like, I'm not sure if I even knew that this was something. I don't know why, but I mean, if you're not in it, you would not think of these things. But it says, where is the Tomb of Unknown Soldiers? The Tomb of Unknown Soldiers is in Arlington National Cemetery. It's the most iconic memorial. But, and then I had to look up what is an unknown soldier. I guess it's self-explanatory, but when you're not in it, you really still have to look to get the right answer. And it says, the term unknown soldier refers to a military service member who died in wartime, but whose remains were never identified.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. There is in Arlington, there is a whole graveyard for people that they don't even know who it is. They're just there.
Yeah, and think about how significant that is for their families.
Yes.
So they really can't have a proper send-off and burial for their loved one.
But you know what? With the technology that we have today, Sergeant Smith, why couldn't they just dig? And I know, hey guys, I'm asking because I don't know, all right? And it might sound girl, but I don't know. Why can't they just dig the graves up now and look into the bone? Because that's what they do now. They can do almost anything now. I can see back in the day, like in World War I, II, when they didn't have all of this technology, all of this stuff. But now, in my mind, it doesn't make it right. But why can't they dig them up now? And with the technology, look at a bone, because they DNA, they can tell you who your daggone ancestors are from that. Why can't they do that now? Because there's somebody out there whose mother, father, brother, cousin, whatever is in that unknown place, and they couldn't know who they are. Does that make sense? Do I sound right?
Well, and to a certain extent,
Okay.
I think it's a great point.
Okay.
But you have to look at it too. What was the record keeping back in World War One? What was the record keeping in World War Two? What was the record keeping in Vietnam?
And then it was manually. It wasn't
Right.
like a computer kept it.
And number two, we don't even know if they was keeping blood types at that time.
Okay.
And how extensive that they went into the record keeping with the documentation.
So can you bring a grave up in DNA now? Just kind of run it through a system that.
Well, the
has
key is going to be with
been there.
DNA is going to be how much could you get from
Did
a
you get
bone.
their lineage, like someone in the family?
No, you have to look at hair,
Okay.
saliva.
Yes. Which they are not going to have no saliva. The hair would be so. That would be something if they did. Guys, they would not have any saliva. And the hair after. And I'm saying what I think. I don't know, guys, but after you have been dead, because your hair is into your follicles and stuff into your head, it lives that way. Once you die and everything is dried out and dead, once you pull some hair, it won't have anything that you could. I don't even know how to say it, guys, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Is you would not be able to.
Well,
See anything
it may
in
not
it.
be any elements in there to test.
In there, yeah, it might not be there because it's all dried out.
Well, I don't think they want. I don't think they're going. Plus, two, I don't think they're going to dig somebody up from that's been gone well over 100 years. So, I just don't know how society would look at it. That's probably the reason why, and there haven't been a demand for it.
If it was my ancestor, or I felt that I have someone. Put it this way: if I had someone who went to war and they didn't come back, and they don't know, and they couldn't find their bodies, but they did have a couple of bodies that they did find, I would be that one. I would be that one saying, okay, could you dig that person up right there? I need to know if that's my daggone cousin. I need to know if that's my dad. Please, just do a DNA. Do something.
Yeah.
But I know it's a little much, but I would.
Has that happened over now in the wartime that we just recently had? Did they have any people they couldn't identify, or they pretty much identified everybody?
But they can pretty much identify everyone now. We have better record
Yeah.
keeping, even without dog tags.
Okay.
And I think now guys that's being, I don't even know during the early wars whether they even had dog tags at that time.
And all of the stuff that they do for you guys when you first go in, they do your dental work, so they can get you by your dental work. And then they keep records of that, and everything is on the computer, and everything is so better now. They can do it from your teeth, from your fingerprints. I guess they could still do it from their fingerprints as well, but
Well, on certain bodies can be so destroyed, you're not gonna get any.
you're not gonna get yeah.
So
Okay.
especially when these bombings and some of these things taking place. So they got to get enough records, and plus two, they have other soldiers that's gonna be present. They can put whoever's there
Yeah.
at the scene.
I know some of this stuff I'm probably asking you. You're not even you're not supposed to know the answer to them because you're not the ones that do. But I'm asking because just in case you might know. Okay, I have some more questions. I can't help it, y'all. Can you tell me the difference in the branches, like Air Force, Army?
Well, the Army is mostly going to be one that they do most of their combat on land. We do have some air support with the Apaches, the Cobras, the UH-60s, and we do some water excursions also.
Guys, he's talking military talk now, because that Apache and all that other
Yeah,
stuff.
it's going to be combat helicopters.
Okay.
But then the Navy that's going to be on the water, along with the Coast Guard is rescue.
Okay.
Air Force is in the air dealing with aircraft, air support, and air combat. Space Force is new. That's going to be dealing with that, especially these young kids coming in now. They have that skill set to deal with whatever that technology is, dealing with
Yes.
drones, and also too is these remote flying thing, not drones, but they can send missiles and everything out from a designated location.
Sergeant Smith, that to me is the best thing since sliced bread. to these drones. So you won't have to go into anywhere, and I'm making a funny, guys, but you don't have to go into something to see it now. You can just send that thing in there, and it can show you a lot of things, you know?
Yeah, to a certain extent, but sometimes it's not going to be a replacement for a physical soldier going.
Of course not. Of course not.
So, you know, and they also translate into law enforcement now. So it's a lot of different skill set these young kids can come into and contribute not only to the military, but also to the law enforcement world also.
With this AI, there's a lot of stuff starting to go on. Okay, do you represent all branches or just one?
Well, military is the military. I think there's going to be a kinship there, no matter which branch you serve in. But I represent, I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army. But that don't still mean that I don't have a kinship to an individual that's in the Navy, the Marines, or any other branch of service.
Okay. What is the difference between active duty and reserves?
Well, active duty is going to be you there every day. That's going to be your duty for
It's your
whatever.
life.
Yeah, for your whatever your contract serves for, unless you're going to be on leave. But the reserves, I think that's going to be where you do 1 weekend a month and 2 weekends a year, and you serve for a longer period of time where you may have an 8-year contract. But their roles are very much necessary.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I have to ask this before I forget. 8-year contract?
Yeah.
You can sign a contract for 8 years?
Yes, reservists, their roles or services are longer.
I just wouldn't want to do that because I would want to do a little bit at a time because you just might not want to do it after 2 or 3 years. But if you're locked in for 8 years, that'll make you feel, to me, a certain way. And, you know, that's just too long. But it is what it is.
Well, that's part of that commitment,
Right.
When you coming in and you understanding what your duty is, and plus too, you have to put that part of that you're here to serve your country. You're honoring this country in the highest form.
And guys, I want you guys to know that I'm asking these questions because there are a lot of young ones that really don't want to go into the military. They just don't want to. They don't want to do it. And if he can answer some of these questions that they might need the answer to, they can say, "Oh well, maybe it's not so bad." However, we already know to each his own. If something could be bad for him, but not bad for you, and vice versa. However, just to know though, you know, and you're not Googling it, there's someone here that is answering these questions. That's why I'm asking so many. Just wanted to let you know, I had to put that out there. So, and I had to tell you that too, because it's like, dang, she drilling me like I'm in basic training all over again. Okay, so what is this? What would disqualify me from being in the service? If I was in the service, what would disqualify me, or what would disqualify me to be able to go in?
Well, I'm quite sure you have to. Well, first you have to have pass the aptitude test. I think you're coming in as a enlisted.
Is that the ASFAS?
Maybe the ASFAB test or
Okay.
something along those lines you have to have, but you also probably have to have a clean, or at least a criminal record. I don't think you're gonna let you come in with a criminal record also.
Or no weed in your system?
Well, you have to pass the drug test.
Okay,
And that part-
because that will stop a whole bunch of people.
That's the discipline part of going in now.
Right.
You have to be able to understand what your purpose is.
Okay. Well, these are things that it says what veterans want people to know. You can just let me know if this is true or not. I'm going to read these things.
Okay.
Veterans want you to know, guys, they all don't have PTSD. You know, people, when they look at a veteran or they look at somebody who's been into the military, the first thing pop in their mind is, nah. Even if he's upset about something, the first thing they want to say is he has PTSD. That's not completely true that all of them have it. That is true, right? Or do you feel that everybody that has gone through the military has PTSD?
No.
I think that there is a lot, though, right?
Depends on what you've done in
What
the
you've
service.
done.
You know, now you're gonna have more soldiers or Marines or whatever branch you were in because of the present climate. You're gonna have more PTSD. Guys are seeing a lot more wartime now than they've seen in the past. Them during times of peace.
Right, right.
During times of peace, then you know the PTSD isn't gonna be as widely spread. Like these guys coming back in from doing several tours, it's going to be expected they're going to have PTSD.
Okay. I'm thinking anybody that, well, I don't want to be ignorant or say the wrong things, but coming from your mom and home and college and just lucky go happy, going to basic training, and I hear that you have to go through a gas chamber, you have to do a whole bunch of things. That doesn't give you PTSD. I'm sure.
That gives you discipline.
That's just give you discipline. Okay, and post traumatic something. Yeah, so it's not that traumatic, but it would be for me in the gas chamber. It would be traumatic for me. Anyway, okay, so those who have invisible wounds of war are not dangerous or violent. People that's been to war, a lot of people feel that, oh, they're dangerous or they're violent or they're mental or there's something. You look at it as negative, and it's not. Don't look at a veteran because, you know, he's been to war, you're thinking that, oh, he got a couple of screws loose. No, right? That's not what you...
No, but we have to take every case by case basis. Depending on what type of treatment that soldier has received or not received. So you have to take everything on a case-by-case basis, but you still can't lump everybody in one.
There you go. You can't say it's
basket.
everybody. Yes.
But you have to also, you have to take it case by case.
Now this one here, I know for certain, and it's a fact, and I live it, and it's my husband, and this is what he does. And I will say it, it's not bad because I love him, but it says, it's hard to ask for help. My husband, as a military man, feel, no, I don't need to ask for help. I can do it. I can build that rocket and go to the moon. I can go and build anything. I could, whatever it is, it's like, You know how back in the day, men would not ask for directions. They'll be lost as ever, and they would not say or pull over and ask for directions because they don't want that woman or anyone to know that they were lost. They were just proud. My husband is so proud. He doesn't want to ask for no help. It's like, I don't need no help. It's like, but you do. I know the answer. Can I just give you the answer? No, no. So are they like that? Or yeah.
Well, coming in, my line of work now is that I have to teach guys that we get more done in a team environment. So that's going to be something, even if I don't want to, I have to train myself and train them to understand that we have to work in a team environment.
But are you like that now? I know you were like that. You weren't like that in the Army because a team, you had to work as a team. But do you do that now that...
I have to teach that now.
Oh.
I teach that now. So when it comes to the department that I work for now in Atlanta PD, when I work for them, that you always teach. You have to teach that you get more done in a team environment.
Okay.
You get more done together.
Is it hard for you to ask for help?
I ask for help all the time.
That's so good. That's so good. Okay. This one, it says, the military service changed them. These are things that they want you to know. The military did change them. I would think so. I think it was a positive thing, change, because they come out with discipline and those 4 C's that I was talking about. Is that true? The military changed men?
Me individually, I think a little bit, not as much as others. I think too, if you coming in from a certain background, that change in environment that the military provides is needed.
Okay.
And I think it's one too that is vital to the survival of some individuals that within that needed that discipline. So I think that it definitely was a place to grow for everybody.
Okay. Okay. Okay, this is the last question. Was it what you wanted it to be? Was it after you've done it and it's over, was it something that you said, you sit back and you say, hey, it was everything I wanted it to be and then some? Or I don't think that you're going to ever say, I waste my time, because the things that they teach you guys, and like the 4 C's, you don't waste your time. They do give you something, but you never know. And to each his own. This is just his answer. Was it what you thought it would be? And you can think about that.
Well, I'll be honest with you. It was what I thought it would be. Did it challenge me physically? No. But it did give me a different perspective. Going to war, my first time out, we en route to Kuwaiti. You know, I'm sitting there. We landed in Cairo to refuel, and this Cairo soldier from Cairo, it was darker than I was, long wavy hair. My job was to make sure, his job was to make sure we didn't get off the plane, and my job was to make sure he didn't get on the plane.
Wow.
So we're standing there looking at each other, laughing, because we saying that, okay, he looking at me saying, this is black guy with this high top nappy fade. And I'm looking at this a black guy with long wavy hair. So, you know, it's those things that it opened my eyes to there. But when it came down to having regrets about my time, no.
And it was what you thought it would be.
Yeah. Going to war was to tell my wife this: whenever you can test yourself to that extreme, there's nothing that can defeat me. You know, that's what it's all about. When you're going at it every day, you don't know if you're going to live or die. People around you, and you look at those things, shit can't stop us from doing. We dismiss. We got to go get it. That's what we do every day. So that's what it's given me.
Spoken like a true soldier. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
All right.
Sergeant Smith. Let me put that sergeant on there. We don't want no disrespect at all.
Yeah.
I wanted to, these are ways that we can thank our veterans, and I want to personally thank Sergeant Smith and Sergeant Buttram and all of our veterans out there. Let me just read some of the things. I'm going to read all of them. Okay, it's not that many. But it says, you are very much honored and very much appreciated for what you have done for our country. Thank you for your courage and putting our country first. Thank you for protecting our country and your bravery, and for all that you do to make this country safe. We want to thank you guys, and we appreciate it. And because you did what you did, you know, we're still here, you know? Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sergeant
you're welcome.
Smith.
You're
Yes.
Happy Veterans Day.
Yes. And I said it again, Sergeant Smith. Did I say Sergeant Smith or Mr. Okay,
Yeah.
Sergeant Smith. Okay. And we're wishing you a happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there.
Thank you. Thank you, and
Yes.
happy Veterans Day to you too, Danny. We don't say that enough to each other, so
Yes.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So with that said, guys, we're gonna close for today, but feel the rumble and listen to the roar, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
All right, later, y'all. Later.